Sorry, I got cut off there. Through all of this, working on this record and these songs, once I got a good handful of songs together, I wound up uh, tweaking and making different versions of the songs that showed different layers of the songs that I felt like were hard to show individually once the whole song, when everything was going at one time. But as I was working on them, there are certain layers that really spoke to me as layers that some of their character or some of the way that adding things or subtracting things affected the song. I wanted to show more than one dimension of them, and I realized that most people will probably not be very interested in pursuing listening to this stuff that far, and that's completely fine. I don't want to. I hope no one thinks that I assume all of this stuff is. Anyway, it's just there in case anyone is interested. When I'm into a band, to a certain degree, I want to know everything that they've put out. I want to be familiar with everything they've done, and any bonus tracks, any hidden, anything I could find, I want to consume and be familiar with as part of their catalog, as much of their catalog as possible. And I just want that to be available for anybody that's into this and is interested. Anyway, this dry erase board helped me keep track of just what needed to be done, because by the time this winter came, it was really, there were so many loose ends with the songs and different things that were almost done but needed to be finished or needed to be tweaked. And I should also mention that driving to my job, it's an hour each way, and especially after we moved here to Barnwell, it's an hour in the absolute dark. 2-lane highway, just pitch black and alone every day. So I would mix check these songs, just play them and make notes. And I'm actually going to grab my notebook. And I would make notes in these field notes notebooks. This is actually, this first page is the very last entry. In this particular journal, I have several of them, but it's the last entry I made for Disastronaut. The last couple of edits, and once I was done with that, the record was finished, which is unbelievably satisfying and a massive relief, because by that point I'd been working on it for 2 years, and you get to a point with working on music where no matter how much you love it, when it takes a certain amount of time or energy, you get tired of hearing it, tired of looking at it, tired of dealing with it. But at the same time, I didn't want to. The project had morphed over the 2 years I had been working on it. At first, it was going to be, it was called A Healthy Dose of Nothing, and it had a few covers sprinkled into it that I had worked on, and the format was different, and it just wound up changing over time, and I'm much more pleased with the way that things turned out, and also the way that things should go forward from here. I'm really excited about. The title track is something that, hang on, I had a lot of fun working on. I'd had the idea for the song for quite a while, and like I said in the previous video, I've played in heavy bands for a long time, and I've just been around heavy music, but this project didn't really have overt elements of, high gain guitar or bass or anything like that would put it in the category of heavy music. But I also play bass in a band called Tone from South Carolina, and our guitar player David, sorry, I'm clicking pedals, clicking buttons here. Guitar player loaned me this. This is I believe it's a prototype of the Earthquaker Sun Collaborative Life pedal, which is on my pedal board down there. There's also no, this is a secondary prototype. This is probably previous to this one, but this is another completely unmarked, but it is the same internally besides this mod. You can barely see here on the top. Anyway, what's different about this one versus the production models is this third switch, which is for the octave effect. It's switchable, which it's not on the others. The fact that it's switchable, I promise this, there's a point to this. There's an accidental effect that this thing has. If you don't plug anything into it, but you plug something out of it going into your amp, it makes a steady whine. I believe it's a pure sine wave. But the cool thing about it is, at that point, the octave effect is, it's adjustable. While the sound is happening, you can adjust the pitch with this. And at the same time, you can also access a different pitch range and adjust these two. And anyway, that sound sort of sounds like a siren throughout the song. Is that I sat and I wrote the part, it's a harmonized part, and I sat and played it while tracking my amp. And it combined with those backing bass. It's all bass. There's no guitar in that track. If I recall, I think it's correct. Wound up creating this sound that I was really just enamored with, and I felt like it was close enough to the rest of what I did with the record and the parts on it that have some overdrive and things. I felt like it was acceptable and would fit as part of the record, and I wound up just mixing and so forth in such a way that it would blend, and lyrically and just thematically, I felt like it was a strong closer, and wound up tying everything together in a way that it ties things together in a way that it stands out, but it also brings the darker elements of the record up front and center in a certain way. I enjoy the rhythm. I think that it's a strong. Excuse me, I'm bad about rambling. I apologize. Anyway, and in this whole deal with COVID-19 happened. Well, it happened when it happened, but in the middle of March, I wound up walking out of my job because of reasons surrounding to do with the virus. And I was at home mixing this, and it wound up, I finished the Disastronaut record. During that period, I had the expanded versions for every song, finished the artwork for those, all except for one, which I actually still don't have, because I had planned to book a session with a photographer friend of mine, and I'm very much looking forward to that. But at the time, right now, he's working all the time. I live far away, and social distancing is very important, so we're not doing that right now. And I wound up putting the record out in the middle of March while I was home, at least digitally. My good friend Adams Mitchell, who has screened at least half of this record because I've talked to him throughout it and sent files to him and sent them to Nick Smith, and he runs Pizza Hell Studios, and he was going to make cassettes for this release, which I'm very much looking forward to. Right now, I'm out of work, and I can't put a whole lot into this, which is not ideal, not what I had planned, but life does. Things happen, and we have to deal with them. I didn't want to sit on the record for 6 months. I wanted to go ahead and get it out. Also, in February, I think it was February, I, long story short, decided that I would like to actually start my own small label for the sake of putting this music out, but also music from friends of mine that may have trouble getting visibility or having access to physical manufacturing or whatever, or having, graphic design, visual artwork, anything that I could possibly help with. I'd like to have, or I wanted to have an umbrella under which to really put all those things, everything that I work on, but also I hope and pray, an avenue to help my friends put music out as well. So I sort of started and branded Romantic Dreams Incorporated, or just Romantic Dreams Inc. Y'all home? Hello? Oh, I thought you were with Mom. Yeah, so I started Romantic Dreams Incorporated, and this record is the first one to be put out under that umbrella. I really look forward to this being on streaming services and being available in a way that is more easily accessible than just Bandcamp, which will all happen within the next couple of weeks. Looking forward to advertising and so forth for that. It's going to be really cool. And speaking of Romantic Dreams Inc., there's a couple of things that I've had a couple of friends reach out to me about putting music out through that, and I'm super excited to work with anybody that is that's wanting to publish music and wants to do it under that umbrella. I'm really looking forward to that. There are some other music projects that I'm involved with right now, in the middle of working on, that will also come out through that I'm really excited about, and some friends bands, like I said, that I'm super stoked to put out music for. I hope we can do it as much as possible. I've had down to the dollar, had my financial ducks in a row for this record, and pretty gutted when, just partly because of the virus and partly because of just crazy stuff that happens in life, my financial ability to do what I was going to do wound up being wiped out last minute. At the same time, I didn't want to not put the record out, so wound up doing it digitally, and I'll do everything I can as soon as I can. Really looking forward to doing that. That's about all I've got to say, really. I just wanted to talk about the record in case somebody wanted to know or cared. I'm still working on music. Drone Dialogues 2 is being worked on right now. Shouldn't take very long to finish. Several just brand new songs in a couple of mildly different directions. Looking forward to putting all that stuff out. And like I mentioned previously, a couple of covers with some friends. Really excited about that as well. There was an Instagram live show. I believe it was the end of March, and I wound up performing with some friends from Augusta, which was really cool. It was live, as in we performed in our own spaces at home in a socially isolated fashion. And some of my friends from that are going to be on this release with these covers, and that's awesome. There's actually a couple of covers and a collaborative song between me and another artist. So still working on stuff. Got plenty in the works. Excited to put out everything. And if you've watched all of this, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.